Good evening, Friday, February 7th. So another week behind us, and the market roller coaster continues. So after the jobs number this morning, which actually wasn't too bad, maybe it was too good actually. So again, good news is bad news. The market sold off today. We're going to take a look at what the result of that is. And even though the unemployment rate ticked down slightly, there were some things in the report that I don't think the market liked, like average hourly wages went up substantially, so that could lead to more inflation later on. But the economy is still very strong, so the Fed is going to be in a quandary of what to do next. I'm sure they're not going to cut next, but they are going to have to watch things very carefully, especially the next CPI report. So let's get started. I am not a financial advisor, of course. And anything I say here is for educational purposes only. You need to understand your own trading and investing style and make your own decisions. So let's take a look at the market first. Hopefully I'm going to do this pretty quick tonight on a Friday. The market bias charts just went sideways, basically, very slightly. Just went sideways. So if we look at that, you can see here there's a little bit of red, a little bit of green. Kind of a mixture. That's what makes it go sideways. You can see the short and medium term signals are meeting right there, trying to decide which way they want to go. We'll take a look at Bitcoin as we always do every night. Bitcoin went down again. It tried to make a comeback and failed. So it still is above the sideways channel, but it's heading towards the bottom of it. So we'll see. If the rest of the market goes down, then Bitcoin may follow along. We will see. Let's look at the S&P real quick. S&P, there it is. That's what happened today. It went up a little bit in the beginning of the day and then sold off pretty much all day long. Went right down to the 21-day moving average. This is the channel, the sideways channel, what I'm calling now the distribution phase. So we are still in a distribution phase after a long markup phase. And I'll actually show you what that looks like and what I mean by that, because I put this little chart together that shows you the right here. So this chart in the background is as of today, the S&P as of today. And this is what a market cycle looks like. Typical market cycles has an accumulation phase at the bottom, a markup phase, and then a distribution phase at the top until finally it breaks through the bottom of the support and starts a markdown phase. It has not broken through that support yet. That is, that is right here. But it got rejected here at the top once again. So it keeps coming down, tries to go back up. Right now it's bouncing right around the 50-day moving average. And the upper side is right up there at the top at 6,100. So you can see today we went up and actually touched it. The high was 6,101 and then got rejected. And now we're starting back down. Will we head down to the bottom of the distribution phase? We'll find out soon. But not a good look today. So that's where we are so far. Let's take a look at the dashboard real quick. So everything was down. You can see lots of red on here, except for the VIX. The VIX went up. NASDAQ 100 was down as well. Everything just sold off pretty much all day long. Bonds, 20-year bonds sold off too. Dollar went up. 10-year went up as well. And then crypto, of course, there's Bitcoin, there's Ethereum. Ethereum actually falling even more than Bitcoin. So everything's selling off today. We're on the roller coaster again, heading down. The sectors, top sectors are all defensive sectors. Staples, utilities, energy, communication services isn't aggressive. It's the only one in the top 4 or top 5. And then you have discretionary down below, which is a result of Amazon's earnings. And of course, Tesla continues to sell off. And then technology is also down there near the bottom. Of the industry groups, we've got communication services, discretionary, energy, materials, discretionary, communication, discretionary, staples, financials, staples, a real mixture, but primarily the mixture, it's probably half and half, about half and half of each. So here's the top 10 stocks. So Docs looks like they reported today that had a huge day today, up 36%. Doximity. Remember, these are all stocks that have been on the top 10 list at some point. Doesn't mean they still are right now, but they've been on there at some point. So sometimes they will sell off and then come roaring back. There's a firm. Looks like they had earnings as well, up 22%. Serve Robotics might be just taking off. CRNC, after a huge run up, it's consolidating at the lows and it might be ready to start moving higher as well. There's Nancy Pelosi's trade right there. Anybody that's interested? And Upstart, also one that's been on our list. At the bottom, I didn't see anything that jumped out at me on the bottom of the list this time. There's Marvell, big red candle on Marvell. So it looks like there's a quantum computing stock just basically drifting back down towards its lows. Honest Company, all of these are really not looking too good. Eat had a great run, and then now it's pulling back as well. So we'll see what happens. Let's take a look. Let's go back over here to the website. The website is breakpointtrading.net, by the way, and you can get to the free newsletter in this little box right here, and the YouTube channel is in the upper right. So I want to take a look at semiconductors was in the bottom 10 last week and trying to make a comeback. It's right back up at the 50-day moving average right now. So we'll see if it's going to hold. That this probably looks exactly the same as NVIDIA. Usually they look very similar. Here's NVIDIA. Yeah, looks the same. So NVIDIA is trying to make a comeback heading into earnings. They usually rally into earnings, but it looks like the whole market is starting to make its trend back towards the bottom of that distribution phase. That's what it looks like started today. It has actually happened on Fridays, interestingly. So here's last Friday. Here's today. So looks like we're starting into a trend. Here's the Friday before. So we're beginning to look like a trend on Friday, starting to head lower. And nice rally back down, rally back down. So rinse and repeat. This is what typically happens at tops. Lots of churn back and forth, hard to trade because you can't really identify a trend or a direction. So that's what that's looking like. I want to show you the daily scan real quick. Nothing really changed other than, and I'm going to show you something interesting on this in a second. So this is what I showed you last night. Daily scan, there's 3 that we got into or tried to get into. Zeta and Eris are both still in there, did not stop out yet. We can look at each one. There's Zeta. So had a nice run up, but consolidating right at the 200-day moving average. That is a shooting star candle. So it could reverse. But right now it's hanging in there. Doesn't look too bad. And then Eris right here didn't have as good of a day. Eris pulled back about halfway through yesterday's big move up. So this one is actually a little below our entry point. It's at 27, and our entry was at 27.50. So not too bad, but it's got a little ways to go before it gets stopped out. Now, what about HIMS? Remember last night I showed how to do a short. We put that short on using and it was a real trade, using my E-Trade account. But as I said, I did not make it good till cancel. It wouldn't let me make it good till cancel because the market was closed. So I just made it for one day, which meant today. And let's take a look. There's what HIMS did. Went all the way up, actually went above where my stop would have been So if I had got in without using a stop order, if I had just done a market order, I would have lost money immediately today because it would have gone up and taken out the stop at 45. But I didn't do that. I used a buy stop order at $40. And you can see the low today was 41.48. So it never executed. And because it never executed, then this basically just, it's in my account, but there's not really an order there anymore because it just didn't execute and expired. So that's an expired order. I am going to remove this from the daily scan. I'll show you why here in a minute. Not sure why that one's down there. Okay, so I'm gonna save that. So that's no longer there. So we have two of them on there. Let's go back to the website, and something even subscribers might not realize because there's a lot of stuff on here. On the market bias page, the top part is, which really you should look at every day just to see what the status of the market is. But below that are the top 20 gainers and losers year to date for 2025. And I update this on usually Friday evenings, and I just finished updating it tonight. So let's take a look at the gainers and losers. We'll start with the large cap. So this is the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ 100, Palantir, number one. This is number one out of all the stocks at 500 plus 100. There's some overlap, of course. So let's call it 550 stocks. Out of all of those stocks, Palantir is number one. Constellation is number two. So you can just see the list right there of the very strong large cap stocks. Interestingly, SMCI has reappeared on the list down here, and MongoDB is on there as well. On the right-hand side are the losers. So remember, this is year to date. So this Palantir year to date is up 46%. These are the ones that have not made the list. So the losers so far this year. Now let's go down and look at small and mid caps and look at the stock that's on the very top of all of the stocks. And this is more than 550. This is way more. This is probably 1,000 stocks in the small and mid cap list. Number one, biggest gainer, up 75%, 76% so far this year, just this year. HIMS, the one we were trying to short yesterday. Can kind of see why it never went down, why it wasn't a good short. And that order now is expired, so that's good. And that's not to say it won't fall at some point, but right now, based on this, the number one stock year to date, would you short this? Maybe. So these are all the number ones. There's Docs. We just looked at that a minute ago. You can see all the other ones over here. These are good ones to actually take a look at and do some research on. You've got Sprouts Farmers Market. It's the number one stock in the small cap list. It's just because they haven't rebalanced that list yet. It's a pretty big company now. I think it's $7 billion now. But it hasn't, it is still in the small cap list just because they haven't rebalanced yet. And on the losing side, we've got ELF. What else over here that we might recognize? Not too many, actually. Abercrombie and Fitch, which had been a real major gainer ever since the pandemic for the last 2 years. This one here had been on the top of the list over and over. You can see down 23% just this year. So I encourage you, this is just updates once a week. So maybe as a part of your weekend routine, you can go over and take a look at it, see what stocks are on there. Might be ones to research as well, see if there's anything good in there. One last thing I want to do before I close out today is a question that somebody asked that I forgot to get to yesterday, is to look at SCHD. So SCHD is the Schwab Dividend Equity Fund. So this is an ETF. If you want to have exposure to dividend stocks, this is one way to do it, using the Schwab Dividend ETF. It has performed really well last year, and then it had a big sell-off right here in December. and now it's trying to make a comeback right now. So this is a one way that you can play dividend stocks. I don't like the looks of it right now. It looks like I'm not sure exactly which stocks are in here. I can actually do that. Holdings. It's always interesting to see what the holdings are in some of these. So we've got AbbVie, Pepsi, Coca-Cola, UPS, Merck, Chevron. So the ones that you would expect to be in there. Those are all the ones that are in that list. Home Depot, Verizon. You can see the whole list right here, all the stocks that are in it. And a lot of them, now one of the problems with doing it this way is that because there are 50 stocks right here. So some of them are going to go up, some of them are going to go down. So it's going to get diluted as a result of that. Now, I don't know what it pays in dividends. So that might be, well, the annual dividend is 99 cents. 3.6% is the yield. So that's a pretty good yield. So if all you want is income, this might be a good way to do it, even if the overall ETF goes down, even if the equity itself goes down, you're still going to make 3.6% in the annual dividend yield paid out quarterly. Another way that you can play dividends is on my website, on the portfolios page, on the left-hand side over here. At the beginning of the year, I do a scan for, in this case, I have 3 scans. Dividend stocks, these are dividend aristocrats. These are ones that have increased their dividend for 25 years straight. You can see this is, and I'll update the performance at the end of each month, but as of January, this is the performance so far for that one. The next are dividend champions, which is kind of the same as dividend aristocrats, except one of the requirements, it does not require that they be in the S&P 500, so it gives them a wider list to choose from. And you can see it basically outperformed the dividend aristocrats. So that's the performance of those. And then the final one is Vanguard high yield stocks. And I ran the same kind of scan on that. Now, in this case, the 2 above have different stocks in each of these 3. That's why the performance is different, because I'm filtering them based on different things: dividend yield, 12-month performance, and technical rank. However, down here, when I did that, they were all the same stocks. So the whole list of 18 stocks, and just click here and you can get the whole list. But they're all the same stocks. So of course, the 3 filters all come out the same, but almost 7.5%. So that was clearly the best performing of all of them. So this is one way to do it. Basically, you can kind of create your own ETF without being diluted. Instead of 50 different stocks, there's just 18 of the best stocks right there. So that's right there on the portfolio page on the website. Okay, I think that's it for now. Hope everyone is having a good week and have a good weekend. Super Bowl is on Sunday. I hope your team wins, whatever team that is. And I will pick it up again on Monday. So actually Monday I won't, because I have company coming in. So I will probably not do a video on Monday unless I can get away and do it secretly. We'll see. But don't expect one. I might not have one on Monday. But anyway, have a great weekend. Good luck with the Super Bowl, and I will talk to you later. Take care.